Hello, and welcome to the Git booster exercise. So tonight I'm going to go over showing you how to clone a repository. I'm going to edit a file on that repository, and I'm going to commit that file back to the repository on GitHub. So let's get started. So first, I've come to the class GitHub organization page, which is just this URL right up here. So it's github.com/cscie18fall2015. When you come to this page and you're logged into GitHub, you will see all the repositories that you have access to. And in this case, I've created repositories for you that you should see, particularly this Git booster one for this exercise that we're doing right now. You should see your username -git booster. In my case, my GitHub username is eparker71, so eparker71-git-booster is the repository that I'm going to be using for this. So hopefully you see that repository and you can do exactly what I'm about to do. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click into that repository. So now I'm in the repository, and you can see here I've got this README file. And this file only contains one file, and that's this README file, which is just a plain text file. And in that file, this is what the file looks like. It says Git booster, and it has some steps here, and then it tells us what the URL is that we're going to have to submit back to Canvas. So, and you can ignore all this, everything above this line here. All that you have to do is come down here and answer these questions. You have to put your name here and answer these two questions, and then commit the file back. So let's get started with that so we can see what that looks like. So if you'll notice over here on the right hand side we have this URL. So I'm going to just copy that. And now I'm going to go to a terminal on my local computer. So I have a Mac, and I have Git installed on my machine. And I can run it from the command line. Now so one, if you don't have Git, you're going to have to get it, install it. If you have it installed and you're using a graphical version like SourceTree or the GitHub desktop or one of those, that's great. You can do the exact same things. In this exercise, I'm going to do everything from the command line so to show you that. And what I'll do is we'll make a separate video for SourceTree showing people how to use that. So here's the first one. We're just going to start with plain old Git. So we're going to say Git clone. We're going to create a new repository, clone that repository locally. So I pasted that URL. I say git clone that URL, and it worked. So it's telling me that it cloned everything down to my local desktop. So now I'm going to, and now it's created a directory on my local machine called the name of the repository. So in this case it's eparker71-git-booster. So I'm going to cd into that directory. And if I do an ls, you can see there's one file in there. And there's actually more in this directory. And I'll just take a moment here to show you. If I say ls-la to show me all the hidden files, and I'm choosing the long listing L here. So if I do that, one, you get to see all the cool permissions. You get to see owner and group, and but you also get to see the hidden files. So we have this .git, which is a directory, and that directory contains everything that the GitHub repository needs, and that's actually how Git knows that this is a repository. So just wanted to show you that exists, and there's a bunch of stuff in there. But we don't need to know that for now. Now all we need to do is be able to edit this file. And I'm going to just do that here in the terminal. You can do that with any editor you like. I'm just going to use VI. So I'm going to say VI README. And so this is, you might have noticed the extension of this file. It's a .md. That's a markdown file. So markdown is kind of like wiki markup in a sense. So you'd use these pound signs, and here's like how we create a list, and these backticks for to show things like in a code block. So it's just a way to format the document so that it looks nice, and GitHub honors that. So if you come to GitHub, you see things are bolded, and there's a list, and there's this nice box around this URL. Those are just ways to format using Markdown. But you don't have to do any of this. You could ignore everything above these 3 dashes. These 3 dashes, just so you know, equate to this line here on the page. Well, below that, but this line. So anyway, we come down here, and there is some text here that says add your name here, and there are 2 asterisks around it, which basically means bold italicize it. So you can choose to bold italicize it or not. You can, whoops, and I just goofed. Let me fix that. What you can do here is, so I'm going to add my name. And now there's a couple questions. Have I used Git before? I'm going to say yes, and I love it. Oops, and I have a little typo, so let's fix that. Okay. And have I used exist before? And my answer is not really, but I'm very excited to learn it. 3 exclamation points there. Alright, so now I have edited this file. So now I'm going to save it. And now I have an updated file on my machine. I need to get that back up to GitHub. So the first thing I'm going to do here, and this is just to show you this command, is I can type a command called git status. And what git status is going to do is it's going to look at our repository, and it's going to tell us what the status is. And what it's telling me here is that I have a modified file. It's in red. And it tells me the name of the file that's been changed. It also tells me that these changes are not staged for commit. So before I can commit, I have to stage these files. And to do that, I just simply type git add, and I'm going to add the name of the file. So once I git add it, I can go back and type git status again. And you'll see that now it is, it's green. It still tells me that it's modified, but it's now telling me changes to be committed. So I can go ahead and commit these changes now. So now if I say git commit, and I'm going to give it a little message. So I say -m, and let's see, edited file. I'm going to say readme. So I'm going to commit the readme file, and I'm going to give it a little message. You can put any message you want in there. That is just, so if you're committing code back to GitHub and you've changed the file, you may want to put a little message in there that kind of indicates what the change was in this file for this particular commit. Sometimes that's helpful to people, sometimes it's not. Let's go ahead and do it and see what happens. So, okay, great. Now I've committed that file into my local copy of the repository. And this is sometimes a step that this gets people into trouble because they've committed it. They think, okay, I'm all done. And if we go back to GitHub and I refresh this page, you'll notice that nothing has changed. And that's because commit is only really half of what I need to do. I also need to push it back up to GitHub. So the command for that is git push. So once I do git push, more stuff happened. And now you can see it's pushed it to my GitHub repository. It's put it on the master branch because I only have one branch in this case. So let's see. Now if I refresh this page, you can see there's my edits. I can see them now. That's great. So, okay, good. So I've committed, I've done step one, I've done step 2, I've done step 3. Now I just need to get this URL to submit. So this URL, the way I get it is I simply come up here to the where it says the README file, which is it itself is a hyperlink. So once I click on that hyperlink, now I have this URL that I can submit back to Canvas. So I just copy that, I go to Canvas, and I paste it into the booster exercise, and I should be good to go. All right, I hope that was helpful.